Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Venus Visions and I'm so excited to have you back, or if you are new here, welcome to my channel. I'm so excited for today's video because today we're going to be discussing one of my favorite ancient Egyptian goddesses or deities, which is Bast or Bastet. And I have this, which I got from I was gonna say ancient Egypt, which I got from Egypt, my first trip there. And if you watched my last video, I mentioned how my first trip to Egypt was actually for the purpose of scuba diving. It had nothing to do with any of this stuff. But yeah, I ended up coming back with that, and I ended up coming back with the Ostat one, which we'll talk about another day. But yeah, today I am so excited to dive deep into who she is, what does she represent, what does her energy represent, and this video is very exciting because I'm sure you've seen depictions of her everywhere. She's one of the popular ones, and it's interesting because she is represented by the cat, and I feel like they're very misunderstood unless you have them. And I too misunderstood them before. Like I was actually really scared of cats because I had when I was younger, I had a cat actually scratch me really bad. It looked like cartoon scratches, like all the way down. So I always was afraid of them. But then I was given my first cat as a gift, and that was probably one of the best relationships ever. We still have her today. What? As we speak, my cat wants to come in. Okay, yeah, so I didn't really understand much about cats. I just knew they were, whatever the negative connotation that we were told or we grew up seeing from movies and popular opinion. Until I got her and I was like, well, okay, I wasn't that afraid of her biting me or scratching me because she was tiny and I knew. I was like, okay, I know she's little. I got her, she was still a little baby. If she did, scratch or bite me, and by the way, look in my hands. That's how you know I have cats. Now I can say that this was like my biggest fear ever growing up, is just like I had a fear of cats. And so when I got her as a baby, I was like, well, I had to research when she grew up because I was like, well, now she can bite me and do all this. It's cute, whatever. It doesn't do anything. But when she's older, that's when the scary stuff happens. So I, being a Virgo that I am, started researching cats, and I found out, well, no, you can train them from a young age so that they don't scratch. I did that, but clearly, when cats want to do what they want to do, they're gonna do it. So, yeah, the reason why I'm bringing up cats is because she is represented oftentimes by the cat, and this does not mean that Bastet or Bast is a cat. Actually, a lot of the deities or a lot of the different ancient deities, they were represented by different things. Like they could be represented by animal, or seen as depicted as such, with like an animal head, or things like that. What that means is that their energy can be present in nature, as above, so below, which means that everything is connected. So if this deity has this type of energy, we can find that within nature, something close to it that can represent it, to better grasp their idea, or better grasp what they represent for us as humans, like for our human brain to be able to understand it. And so oftentimes we'll see like Aphrodite, as a beautiful woman. It doesn't mean that she is an actual physical human woman, but it represents, that's the energy it represents, and that's the way the stories were, and that's the way history was being documented, which is through drawings and depictions. And so they would depict different deities, different goddesses with different animals and things of that nature. So she could be depicted as a cat, or a beautiful woman with a cat body, or vice versa. And I have a card of hers here from the Oracle. I'll show you guys. And this one is interesting because I don't think that's a cat body. I think it's some form of bird, but it says independence, protection, boundaries. And those are some of the things that she represents. So actually her history goes back really long time ago. As we know, ancient Egypt's actually very old, and it lasted a long time. I think it's the longest lasting civilization that humans have seen personally, but we'll have to wait until science or researchers or whatever. but because we've seen their impact on everything, even today. I mean, we've seen their impact from ancient Egypt and all these other civilizations. So the civilization we have today, for example, the calendars, right? The calendars as we know it today with the 12 months and the dates and all of that, that can, be dated back to ancient Egypt. That's where we got the idea from math. A lot of things, music, so the way we live our society today, our civilization is connected to that, as well as different civilizations. In the Romans, when they went to Egypt and did what they did, they took a lot of their stuff and went back home and took some of the deities, even some of the goddesses changed up their names, and through that it manifested its own different deity. That's the beautiful thing about this kind of stuff, is that even if some people can steal information and you take it to another land, it can manifest to its own. It can still show up. I guess the real deity will show up in its own in that different form, because the people of that land need to see it in that way for them to be able to connect to it, if that makes sense. And so that's the same thing with depicting the animals. It's the people can see, okay, what does the cat represent? Well, at the time in ancient Egypt, cats were very, very revered. They were loved. They were very popular. They were so loved, actually, so that when a cat, passes away, people would literally mourn, and by shaving off their eyebrows. And they found, actually, when the Egyptologists found a lot of mummified cats in Egypt today, because they were so loved that a lot of them were mummified, and people that had money, they would do that. And that was that society, or that civilization's way of honoring the dead when they pass away, is to mummify them. And mummifications happen. Mummification, is that the word? To pharaohs and people, high ranking people of society. So for cats to be depicted that way is very beautiful. So to circle everything back to Bastet, the deities, I feel, really show up, and they express themselves based on the place and the time. So as I said earlier, Egypt was very, very, very old, to the point, and I'm talking about more than 40,000 years, like years old. This is how I feel. This is what I believe. But um, even today, a lot of scientists, every year it seems like they're pushing the boundary, where first they were saying how it was just 4K years ago, or the Sphinx was only built about 4K years ago. Now they're pushing it back to 9K, and now it's, so because it's so old, there was what they had, the old kingdom and the new kingdom. And I think the new kingdom started to happen when, is it the Romans went there, or the Romans were one of the last people to go there, because that's when it kind of, the civilization kind of fell, if you will. So during the older kingdom, she was actually seen as, and that's like the ancient times. That's like for the newer people, the newer kingdom, that was like their ancestors. Like they were looking at them like, oh, our ancestors and their ancestors from thousands of years before them, they honored this deity, which is Bastet or Bast, and I'm not really sure what she was called at that time. This is just the name that we're given. We're told that the ancient Egyptian name is actually Bast, but I don't know about that. I don't think that's true, but it doesn't matter, right? What matters is the essence of the energy, which we're gonna get into. I know this video is all over the place, but I wanted to just flow with it, because also she represents just flowing with whatever she feels like doing, like the cat, and just flowing with the cycle. She also represents the cycles. So in Old Kingdom, she was seen as a lioness, very ferocious, very like warlike lioness. She was not seen as a cat until the New Kingdom years later, and that's also when we see the popularity of sekhmet, which is another goddess, lioness, warriors, ancient Egyptian goddess. But we see sekhmet later on, and I think also to be able to distinguish the two, because we didn't want them to merge. And some people too that actually believe that Sekhmet and Bastet are the same deity. If you want to, okay, from a basic level, no, not really, because again, even if it was the same deity, I think again over time that deity it was a different aspect of it, and that aspect can become alive on its own and become its own deity, if that makes sense. But this is just like going very deep into the esoteric um, energy behind everything. But to go up on a more basic level, no, there are two different deities. They have two different cults, two different followers, and they were honored in different ways, but very, very similar too. And just like the first goddess that I spoke about in this channel, my very first video, which was about Hathor, and those three are connected. So they are, I believe they're kind of like, and it makes sense, right? They're kind of like the triple goddess if you have the mother, maiden, crone. So it can be seen in that way. So yeah, she was very much loved in ancient Egypt in the Old Kingdom, and then years later, when sekhmet became more popular, she was more seen as the cat. But at the time, also the popularity of cats started rising a lot too, and she is okay. So what does she represent? What is she associated with? She is associated with protection. Of course, she's used today in a lot of protection rituals, and she is associated also with the Eye of Ra. And I said in Hathor's video that she is also called the Eye of Ra, and Ra is just the sun god, but represents the sun. Again, that's another connection with the triple goddess. I mean, and she is considered, they're all three of them Sekhmet, and I'm gonna do a video of Sekhmet. So yeah, that's another association with the triple goddess, where they are, all three of them are the Eye of Ra, are called the Eye of Ra, and her color is red. As you can see, I'm wearing red today. I have my red nails, but also orange, and also she could be called the daughter of the flame, or the lady of the flame, the flame of the sun, just things like that. Just very fire. Her element is definitely fire. And what else? Yeah, people work with her to create better boundaries. Definitely has very strong boundaries. So, like I said before, if you just study cats, you can get a glimpse or understanding of what it represents really. And they have very strong boundaries where they know what they like and what they don't like, and they will not tolerate anything else. And if you try to cross their boundaries, they will definitely go crazy on you. And what else? Very independent. Yes, represents independence, warrior energy, very like standing her ground, very confident. So these are things that you can also achieve within yourself if you tap into this energy. The more you spend time, just thinking about this energy or learning about it, or even being like that, very mysterious, also connected with oracles, seers. What else? Gold. Oh, perfumes. Definitely perfumes actually associated with them, because her name, some people, some scientists or Egyptologists will say her name represents the ointment jar or the perfume jar or things like that. And oh, during her festival, they have in Egypt, they always had these yearly festivals dedicated to her, and it was so fun. It was the most fun time all over, where people would literally travel to her sacred location, which was Bastet. What was it called? Bastet, something like that. I don't remember, but where people would travel via boats, specifically women, and it was like a party on the Nile River, and they would just go to the sacred place, and it was like there was wine everywhere and dancing and music. And if women are on a boat and they would see other women doing chores or whatever, they would scream at them like, no, leave that and come. And mothers, she's represented, and mothers would just, they would like, that was the time where forget all the chores, forget whatever responsibilities that the world told you, and you focus on joy. Because if you watch cats too, they love to have fun, they love to play. That's one thing they absolutely love. And so this was the time of, and a lot of people associate today's Mardi Gras with that, and as kind of like the offspring of that time of the Bastet festival time, but also or the carnival in Brazil, like the biggest party in the world times 10, times 100 probably, or any of the other carnivals that we see today on the Caribbean islands too. So it was time of celebration and dance, but it was mostly a lot of women because it was associated with divine feminine energies and motherhood and fertility because Bastet also represents fertility. So she was also used by women who are wanting to be fertile, and the black soil, because the black soil, that's the one that's fertile. And it's very interesting too when you think about it because she is called the Lady of the Flame and her element is fire. And we know that when a volcano kind of like in Hawaii is a big, luscious island that was a result of a volcano, right? Because there was a volcano under the water, and then the rock came out, and then because of that, the soil was fertile, it became black, and then the black soil, that's what everything grows on. It's not the regular soil. So that's very interesting that she is represented or she is associated with the black soil, but also the fire element of it. And I think a lot of people don't, or they kind of miss that part. They'll talk about the fertility part in the black soil, but not the, oh yeah, she's represented with the fire, with the fire, and we know that fire can be, volcano fires will burn everything and then make everything into black soil, which is very fertile. Um, yeah, pregnancy. Yeah, women who wanted to get pregnant. So yeah, during her festival, there was a lot of drinking. There was a lot of sexual activity, and women like to just for fun. They would literally like put their dresses up and show everything, not just the top, the bottom, everything. And there's another story about Hathor doing this as a joke, where she put her skirt up and she flashed her vagina to one of the ancient. I don't remember. Was it her husband? Maybe her husband. But yeah, they actually do this in the during her festival. The women would just do that in honor of her. And if you have a cat, you see them when they're cleaning themselves, they have their leg all the way up. Everything is just exposed. They don't even care. She is also represented with sensuality and mystery and going between realms from one realm to another and shape shifting and um, makeup. Yeah, she likes makeup, so not just perfume. So makeup artists and firefighters, because at the time, whenever there was a fire, they would call the priestesses of Bast or Bastet, and they would go and turn off the fire. So also firefighters and protection also because at the time cats were are the ones that would be able to kill snakes, and snakes were very dangerous at the time because if you got bitten, all the snakes were poisonous, and if you got bitten, that was it for you. There was no medicine or anything to help you. Cats were very dearly loved, and so was Bast. So how to honor her? Again, you can burn some incense. I don't know why I said again because I never mentioned that. Let me burn some incense here. I'm just gonna burn one. You can sunbathe. Of course. She was definitely a solar. Ooh, sending you some beautiful incense. What is this one? I have so many, but I love them. All kinds of incense you can do. Um, You can sunbathe. She is associated as a solar goddess, but also over time she became associated as the moon one as well. So she is both solar and moon. But if you are researching like what are some of her planets, Venus is actually her planet because she's Venusian. You can offer some for some of these raisins, and this is actually very nice to burn just in general. But I like these yellow ones because they remind me of the sun, and yellow is very much her color. She is also represented by the sacral chakra because, not sacral, the solar plexus, because She's associated with confidence and just knowing who you are, knowing your personality from that aspect. Fun, joy, independence. She's also associated with abundance. Yeah, for sure. Fertility, abundance, protection, everything and anything you need. Occultic hidden messages. She was a communicator with those that passed between worlds. She was able to communicate with deities and people between worlds. She's associated with seers, oracles, and I don't know if you can see the smoke. Let me just burn some of this for her. Thank you, Bast. I'm just burning some of these. What is this called? Ooh, no, I broke my candle. These raising things. I like the smell. Of course, there are herbs that are associated with her. Right here, I have just a bowl of catnip. Oh my God. My cats absolutely love catnip. Like, as soon as they smell it, they just go crazy and they need it, and it just puts them in the most beautiful mood. And if they eat it, they get like sleepy and like it's almost like a high. But if they just smell it, then it's like it gives them energy and they just go crazy wall to wall. So I just give them some and actually let them eat it. They enjoy eating it. And then if in a little bit they need to eat, they get munchies. They have to actually eat food and then they go to sleep for a long time and rest. So yeah, some people offer her catnip. There's other herbs too. You can research what other herbs she's associated with, but like frankincense, candles, catnip, milk as well, honey. Okay, candles, you can burn gold, candles, white. White can be for anybody, actually, for anything, but also black, because black is her color. She is oftentimes represented by the black cat. And it's so unfortunate, but and I wonder if the stereotypes we have today regarding cats, like if you watched any of the old, it's usually just a Western stereotype, because us in the East and then at least North Africa, I don't know about the rest of Africa, but I think maybe this stems from the Christian point of view or Catholic point of view where they view cats as almost evil or, yeah, some sort of evil. It's like, if you believe that God created them, then how can they be evil when God created them and they're literally an innocent animal? But we know that a lot of things that were considered powerful were over time, like kind of a lot of people lied about them and they wanted us humans to be fearful of them, so they made anything that's powerful seem evil. I wonder if that connection, and I think it's true that connection does go back to the cult of Bast or anything to do with that, because they were very secretive, especially towards the end when we saw a lot of monotheistic religions come to play. A lot of these people that were followers of different beliefs or different systems, they kind of either fade out or they would do it in hiding. So of course, I believe Bast's cult and her followers were probably some of the best people to hide, because that's just the energy of Bast. Bastet is very good at hiding. I mean, if you look at cats, they can hide. They know how to hide, and they can be very secretive and they're very guarded. If they sense fear or something, they know how to hide where the fear or the threat doesn't see them or doesn't distinguish them. So when the monotheistic, I know the very last temple was definitely shut down because of the Roman Catholic Church. I forgot what year it was, but it was an order like, we gotta shut this down. And this was probably recent, like it wasn't ancient times where it was shut down. So I wonder if that stereotype of the cats and being with the witch and being like with the, superstitious black cat crossing the road and something bad happens in horror movies, if that all is associated with her. But either way, she's very loving, actually. She loves her children. She loves her followers. Very protective of them. Oh my God, that motherly instinct. to its purest, most essence form. And so if you are somebody who, works with her or connects with her energy, even meditates with this energy, she's definitely going to have protection over you. You're going to be protected, and there's nothing anybody can do to harm you. Also, she's just like Hathor, she's also seen as holding a sistrum, which is a musical instrument that was very, very important in ancient Egypt because of the type of frequency that this instrument was given out is very powerful. And today, as we know, scientifically, frequency has a lot of effect on not just us, on anything, right? If you take, I think they've done studies where they took two waters and they would play different frequencies, and then over a period of time one of them would become very ugly and mucky and disgusting, and the other one is nice and beautiful. And the same thing with plants. So it's the same thing for us. We are definitely affected by these different frequencies. And so she is seen as holding the frequency, so she can be represented with music, but she could also on a deeper level represent different frequencies which happen on a different realm. So again, between going from one place to another, but also very, very mysterious and magical, very magical to be able to do that. It's like a master manifester. Yeah, she's definitely associated with master manifestation. The heart chakra is associated with her. So, and because of love, she has a huge heart. If you know Leo, she can be depicted as not just a cat, but like all cats, all wild cats. So it could be lions, lionesses, jaguar, cheetah, any beautiful wild cat. That's her energy. So we know that Leo, the lion, has the biggest heart in the jungle, maybe the strongest, but also the biggest heart. So she is definitely the heart chakra. But I did say solar plexus as well. But it's interesting because she can be all of them. I mean, she is a shapeshifter after all. But I mean, on a very basic level, yes, she is associated with the solar plexus because she helps with confidence and she helps with speaking for yourself. So again, that can be the throat chakra. Divine feminine teachings. She is associated with divine feminine teachings. And what else? I'm trying to think if there's something else I might have forgot, something important that I forgot to say. Her days can be Sunday, again, the sun, or Monday. She knows the cycles, the divine feminine cycles, and she honors them very well. Again, if you have cats, you'll see your cats sleeping when they need to sleep. I mean, even if it means they have to sleep for 20 hours a day, they will do it when the time is needed. And so it's the same thing with the divine feminine, with feminine energies. It goes through a cycle with a cycle where rest, I keep saying this, rest is definitely important or else you would be depleted of your energy. And rest is important to replenish yourself as a divine feminine or different. It depends when the energy is, what is going on, right? And she honors, and her priestesses, her followers honor different cycles. They honor the feminine cycle, the womb cycle, when you have your period. This is the time to rest. This is the time to go and manifest. This is the time to plant seeds. And you go with the moon again. She is associated with the moon, with the nighttime, the darkness. The nighttime can represent those mysteries, those darkness. So she's being confident in who you are, knowing yourself and loving yourself. She's a great observer. She sees things very, very well. She can hear everything. She can hear very well. So the reason why she's associated, you could say, with the oracles and seers, and it's not just oracles. It can be all the different gifts, because a cat can see really well, a cat can hear very well, a cat can smell very well. It is very aware. And there are people who are able to have that intuition where they just know things. Some people can see things, some people hear things, and all of that represents her energy. So that's why she's associated with oracles and readers and tarot and necromancy, speaking with, yeah, definitely. So just to, I guess, a brief conclusion, she is the joy, she is the sun, she is the moon, she is dance, she is the frequency, the music, the mystery, the divine feminine, the seductress, the beauty, the perfumes, the great smells, the joy, the laughter, the joking, being silly and just going crazy like a kitten and just jumping everywhere. And she represents and honors her cycle, and when she needs to rest, she'll rest. When she needs to hunt, she'll go out and hunt. And she is the creatress, she is the oracle, she is a traveler between realms, she is a shapeshifter, she is the protector, the protectress, she is the warrior, she is very powerful in protection, rituals. She is associated with mysteries, alchemy, everything, all of these beautiful things all at one. So I hope that gives you guys a brief overview. Again, this can be very even more deeper. All of the videos are gonna be brief. I I know I call them brief, even though some of them are an hour long, but um, and some of the information might be even more deeper than the basic information that you might see in other videos on YouTube, or it sounds like it's just the same recycled stuff. So maybe I added a little extra in there. Maybe I didn't. Maybe you know more. Either way, I feel like I'm still speaking from a basic level. I myself don't even know the depth of these energies. And I'm learning as I go. Like, as I'm teaching, I'm also learning. Like I said before, the best way for me to learn as a Virgo myself is to literally teach it. And then by teaching it, I'm literally, I keep saying literally a lot. I keep getting the information just comes to me. It's like an overflow. And so I know I've touched on a lot on this video, but this is still just scratching the surface. And just like cats, they're very still misunderstood. This energy is still very misunderstood, still very mysterious, and we're still learning about it and loving it every time. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If there's anything important that I might have missed or anything you would like to share or any discussion, please leave it down below. If you are new here, please do subscribe if you like divine feminine and esoteric knowledge and different information like that. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share. We're new here, so any support actually means so much. And yeah, I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.